Hello students, welcome to my channel. Today I am here to teach you class 7 cbse's first chapter, a related topic of which that is photosynthesis. Photosynthesis, process of making food in plants or process of food making in plants. So you have one of the topic as photosynthesis, where we study about how plants prepare their food. So in the previous class we had some questions. So what were those questions? Like where this food will be prepared in the plant, like in which part of the plant exactly this food is prepared. So in this class we'll know about all those questions, or we'll get answer for all those questions. So leaves are food factory of plants. So we got to know in which part exactly the food is prepared, that is leaves. Leaves are the food factory of the plant. So it is important that all the raw materials must reach the leaf for preparation of food. So it is very important that all the raw materials, what are the raw materials? The water, minerals, carbon dioxide, sunlight, everything must reach the leaves for the preparation of the food. So after all these raw materials reaching the preparation of food, the food production will be started in the leaves. So how these raw materials reaches? So now we know that water and nutrients, that is minerals, are present in the soil. How these water and nutrients reach the leaf, and how carbon dioxide from the surrounding will reach the leaves, and how the sunlight reaches the leaves. So first we will study how water and minerals will reach the leaves. So absorption of water and minerals from, that is through the roots from soil. So now we can see here, yes, we can see here that so you can see that the brown color thing which is present, the brown thing which is present in the surrounding, like here we find the roots. So here in the soil you see the red thing, that is the water and the minerals. So now the cells which are present in the roots will take up the water and minerals, and slowly through the roots it will enter into the stem, and from the stem there is a pipe like a connection, that is the xylem and phloem. We will study in the next upcoming classes. So there are some vessels in the plants, that is pulling the water and taking to the leaves. So you can see here from how a blue arrow mark is given, so through which the arrow mark, the root, now the red dots, those are nothing but the water and the minerals. So now the water and the minerals are taken up by the roots, and from the roots slowly the blue arrow mark is pulling the water and minerals and reaching to the leaves. So this is done by a pipe like a connection which is present throughout the plant, that is from the roots to the leaves. So this is how water and minerals reaches the leaves. So two raw materials got reached to the leaves for the help of the preparation of food. So now we will study about the next raw material, that is carbon dioxide reaching the leaf from the surrounding. So the carbon dioxide is present in air. So how this carbon dioxide will reach the leaves from the surrounding? So there is a structure called stomata which is present in the leaves, that is a type of a cell which is present in the leaves. So I'll show you where this is exactly present. So you can see here, so you can see your guard cell and the stoma. So these are present in the leaves. So this help the carbon dioxide entering inside the leaves. So if the stomata is closed, then the carbon dioxide doesn't enter. If the stomata is open, the carbon dioxide enters the leaf. So Now carbon dioxide also reaches the leaves from the surrounding. So water and the nutrients reach from the roots to the soil through a pipe which is running throughout from roots to the leaves. So those two raw materials reach like that, and the third raw material, that is carbon dioxide, will reach from the surrounding through stomata. And next you have two important things to know about for the photosynthesis to takes place other than the raw material. One is the chlorophyll and other is the sunlight. Sunlight is a source of energy, so in the presence of sunlight only the photosynthesis takes place. And chlorophyll is a green pigment which is necessary for the photosynthesis to take place. So where this chlorophyll is present in the leaf. So we will see the first figure, that is the structure of the leaf, in which you can see here the very green part. Yes, very dark green dots present in the cells, that is the upper epidermis and the pellucid mesophyll cells. So you can see some dark green dots. Those dark green dots are nothing but the chlorophyll. So now that chlorophyll is a green pigment which is necessary for the photosynthesis to take place. Other than the raw material, there are two important things required for the photosynthesis, that is the sunlight and the chlorophyll. Sunlight, as sun rises we get the sunlight, and plant absorbs that sunlight, that is the chlorophyll help the plants to absorb that sunlight, and they utilize sunlight as a source of energy and they prepare their food. Imagine what might have happened if there is no photosynthesis. If there was no photosynthesis, there were no plants on the earth. So if there are no plants on the earth, directly we human beings and animals are depending on the plants for our food. So if there is no food, there is no life on the earth. So directly we can tell that photosynthesis is very necessary for the life to exist on earth. So now we will study about the process of photosynthesis in plant, that is about the equation. One is the word equation and another one is a chemical equation. In the word equation you see carbon dioxide and water. Okay, carbon dioxide is a raw material and water is also a raw material. Water containing the minerals is a raw material. So carbon dioxide and water, that is in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll. You can see a arrow mark there. So in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll, they form the glucose. Glucose is nothing but the food prepared by the plants, plus oxygen. So oxygen is given out as a product from the plants. So that is using the raw material, that is carbon dioxide, water and minerals. In the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll, plants prepare the food, that is glucose and give out oxygen. So you can see a chemical equation there. CO2 plus H2O. CO2 stands for carbon dioxide and H2O stands for water. So that is in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll again form C6H12O6. That is nothing but a chemical formula of glucose, that is the food prepared, and O2, that is oxygen given out by the plant. So remember this in the mind. This is a equation. So if you remember this equation and write this equation, you have written the whole process of photosynthesis, that is using the raw material carbon dioxide, water and the minerals present. So it will form, in the presence of sunlight and the chlorophyll, it will form glucose, that is nothing but the food formed, and giving out the oxygen. So you have heard that plants give out oxygen. So that oxygen we use for breathing. So this is how plants give out the oxygen for us to breathe, that is as a byproduct with the glucose. Glucose they keep it in their body and oxygen they give out. Glucose is the food which they require and oxygen they give out for us to breathe. So here is a diagram which is showing the photosynthesis. So you can see how this photosynthesis is taking place. So sunlight is falling on the leaves of the plant. So the carbon dioxide is taken by the leaves. So you can see the chloroplast. Chlorophyll has chloroplast which absorbs the sunlight, and you can also see the minerals and water getting absorbed and reaching the leaves. So now once when carbon dioxide, minerals and water is taken up, and also in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll, that will form sugar. Sugar is nothing but the glucose, as we saw, and oxygen is given out. So you can see oxygen is breathing up, so the animals are breathing oxygen, and animals are also eating these plants. So directly or indirectly we are depending on the plants for the food. So if there is no photosynthesis, there are no plants, and no plants, there are no animals and the human beings, and there is no life on the earth. So photosynthesis is very important for the life to exist on the earth. So now we can tell how photosynthesis takes place in the plants, that is in the leaves. So how that absorb the raw material. So minerals and water absorbed by the roots through a pipe-like structure and reach the leaves, and carbon dioxide is absorbed by the stomata. So in the presence of the chlorophyll, a green pigment, and sunlight as a source of energy, it will form glucose, that is a food which is formed in the plants, and give out the oxygen. So this oxygen is help for us to breathe. So here is an activity shown. Yes, activity show plants have chlorophyll and that they use in the photosynthesis. So we can see not only there is a green pigment in plant. So we have seen many different colors of leaves in the plant. So it doesn't mean that leaf which is red in color or which is yellow in color does not prepare the food. So even these prepare the food by using the pigment which is present in them. So there are some other pigments present in them, that is red pigment and blue pigment present in the leaves. So with the help of those pigments, they prepare their food. So here we have an activity. Here a pot A and pot B. Two pots are taken which has plants in them. Pot A plant is kept in the sunlight, and pot B plant is kept in a dark room. So what happens? So pot A remains as fresh after 2 or 3 days, but after 2 or 3 days the pot B get dried and numbed up. For what reason this happens? So this happens because in pot A the photosynthesis takes place. Yes, because there is sunlight from the surrounding. They are taking carbon dioxide, and from the roots they are withdrawing minerals and water, and they are giving out the oxygen and preparing their own food. So if plant is preparing food, then it stays alive. So what happened in pot B? So pot B, there is no sunlight. So when there is no sunlight, photosynthesis is not possible. So even in the presence of minerals and water, there is no carbon dioxide and there is no sunlight. So without these two things, so this photosynthesis is not possible. And when there is no food, that is glucose production in the plant dies. So that is what has happened in pot B. So the plant is dead. Without the presence of any one raw material, photosynthesis can't be taken place and the food can't be prepared. Synthesis of protein and fats from the photosynthesis. So think only glucose is not enough for a plant as a food. So they also produce some other proteins and fats as the food. So glucose, that is carbohydrate, has only carbon, hydrogen and oxygen in it, but whereas proteins might have many other nutrients in it. That is, for example, we have nitrogen. So how does a plant take up the nitrogen to form other proteins and fat. So nitrogen fixation is a process so in which there are bacteria present in the soil. So these bacteria give up the nitrogen as a nutrient to the soil, and by the same process it reaches the leaf and they form the other type of proteins and fats which are necessary. So plants not only prepare glucose as their food, they can also synthesize proteins and fats as their food. So overall we have studied about the photosynthesis, how these leaf is a main part of the where photosynthesis takes place, and how the raw materials are being absorbed by this leaves. So we saw how water and minerals is absorbed by the roots till the leaf through a pipe like a connection, that is a vessel present. So that we will be studying in detail in the next class. So in your class 8 or class 9 you will be studying about the xylem and phloem in detail. And we also saw how carbon dioxide reaches the leaves through the help of the stomata which is present in the lower part of the leaf. And we also saw chlorophyll which is present in the cells of the leaf, which is a pigment which is necessary for the photosynthesis to take place. So and sunlight is a source of energy which is also necessary for the photosynthesis to take place. How this come together and form glucose, that is a form of carbohydrate, and also give out oxygen. So this oxygen helps the animals to breathe, and the food which is prepared by the plants, we are directly or indirectly depending on the plants for the food. So if there is no photosynthesis, there are no plants. If there are no plants, no animals and human beings. The main thing is that without photosynthesis there is no life on the earth. So even plants synthesizes some proteins and fats as their food with the help of a nitrogen fixing bacteria, so which are present in the soil. So they withdraw nitrogen from there and they synthesize proteins and fats. So in this class we have studied in detail about the photosynthesis. So thank you, please be connected. We will continue next class. I'll solve some worksheet depending upon this photosynthesis. Thank you.